Okay, today we're going to be reviewing order of operations rules because yesterday's video did not record and we always need to review. So that's what we're going to do right now, order of operations, and then we're going to review some more solving equations. So, order of operations. There will be one reflection at the bottom of your screen of the board, and I can't do anything about it. It's the actual laptop light that's shining on it. But can you see?
Yeah.
Can you guys find what's on? All right. Rebecca, are you guys doing it on your phone, so it's going to be kind of hard?
I don't know. We're doing it on my laptop.
Oh, okay. Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
All right. Order of operations. What I explained yesterday, and I'll re-explain, order of operations is the way that we do the add and subtract and multiply and divide in a problem if all of those are in the same problem. Now, we don't do that because somebody made up something that we have to memorize. We do that because that's the way numbers work. And the way that your computer, when it gives you an answer to a math problem, or your calculator, when it gives you an answer, it's going by these rules that are just math rules. Math is how the world works, which is kind of hard to understand, but these are the rules that math goes by. So we might as well learn them. Most of you have heard about PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I'll put this in here for those of you who don't remember the phrase, because it helps to remember the order to do your math in. Oh, no, Deborah. Got all messed up. My dear Aunt Sally. Now, a lot of you have probably seen it like this. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And some teachers have used the acronym as a word and call it PEMDAS. So all of those different things that you hear, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or PEMDAS, however you see that, it means it helps you to remember the order of operations that we do our problems in. So I want to explain what these stand for, and then I will explain why I put the M and the D together and the A and the S together. The P stands for parentheses. Okay, parentheses, if there are parentheses in the equation anywhere or the expression, we have to do what's in parentheses first. The next is exponents, and we're going to deal with those today. We didn't do that yesterday. Exponents. Now, the M and the D I put on the same line on purpose because this stands for multiply or divide, but you do those from left to right, whichever one comes first. Work these. Work, multiply, and divide left to right, whichever one comes first, the way that you read a book. So if divide happens to be the first operation, then you're going to do that before multiply. Multiply doesn't always come before divide. Okay, you need to examine what you're working with and find out which one comes first, left to right. The same applies here with the add and subtract. Add and subtract have the same importance in an expression, and you will work those. left to right also. We found out yesterday when we were working on some of our worksheets that you won't get the right answer if you don't work it left to right. We'll do some examples today. Left to right. Okay, now I want to give you a chance to write this down. I think my students already have this information written down from yesterday. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to write it down. I know that you can pause the Zoom, and I'm going to erase it so that I have enough room. I wished that yesterday's would have recorded, because I actually had students that were volunteering to come up and do some of the problems in front of the class, and that was very cool. Naomi.
Yes.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay, here's our first one, and these are some of the ones that y'all worked yesterday. Let me see if I can pick out something. Let's do this one. 8 plus 2, parentheses. Uh-oh, lost it. Well, let's make it a minus, and I'll use this one. 8 minus 2 times 4 plus 9. And instead of the times, I'm going to try to always use a dot for multiply, because as we work equations in algebra, we're going to have the variable x, and I don't want to get the variable x mixed up with the times x. Okay, now what we talked about yesterday is we are going to, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I'm going to show you the steps that I would really encourage you to use when you work these problems, especially when you're beginning to learn it. Okay.
Do this one again, Naomi. I'm going to do this so we can get it closer. So we can see what she's doing.
Needing to switch it around?
Yeah.
Okay. Do whatever
We're
y'all
ready.
need to, okay? Here's our first problem, and this came off of your worksheets yesterday. We start at the top, and this stands for parentheses, so we need to look throughout our equation and see that we have a set of parentheses. Now, I want to stop at this place and explain to you what they're talking about in parentheses, because sometimes in mathematics, we have a set of parentheses, but it doesn't count as this parentheses, like this. This set of parentheses is this that we're talking about. Sometimes you will see a set of parentheses around one item, okay? You might see it around an X. If there's only one item or one term, they're called, one term inside of the parentheses, those parentheses are only done for emphasis. And so those don't count as the parentheses here. If there's only one term inside the parentheses, that's not what they're talking about in this. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So we actually have a set of parentheses that has 2 terms in it. It could have 7 if you want. But what we're going to do every time, we're only going to do one step at a time. Now, this might sound like a bunch of work to some people, but I tell you, if you will do the steps the way I tell you to do them, your brain will start doing them in the correct order. So here we go. What we're going to do is look at the entire thing. We see some parentheses, we see a minus, we see a times, and we see a plus, and we've got to decide from here what we do first. Now, even though there's a minus in here, the parentheses trumps everything, so we have to do this first. We're only going to do one step at a time, so we're going to tell our brain which step we're going to do. You can tell your brain and tell me by underlining it. Now, when we underline this, we're saying we're going to work this and nothing else in this step. So 8 minus 2 we know is 6. So we're going to put our answer here and just write the rest of the problem down. Times 4 plus 9. Now when we see this problem, we're going to say we have two operations to deal with here. We have a multiply and we have a plus. Looking at the order that we need to do these operations in, we can see that the multiply and divide come before add and subtract. So we're going to underline only one step. We're going to do this first. So 6 times 4 is 24, and then write down the rest of the problem. Our last step, of course, is right here. And when you add those together, you're going to get 33 for an answer. And that's how we do order of operations. Now, of course, this one doesn't have any fractions in it, and it doesn't have any divide in it. But we'll get there. Any questions on this one?
No.
No.
Okay. I was going to say, girls, this is our class. So you just answer what you need to answer, okay? When I ask, I'm really asking you. And
Okay.
Linda. All right, let me find another one, and then I printed out some that we need to take care of. Let's do, yeah, we'll do this one. Okay. 6 divided by, and on these worksheets, the divide and the plus resemble each other sometimes, so be careful and double check those. Plus 1, we found that out yesterday, times 2. Okay, here's our problem again, relatively elementary for right now. We're going to add operations in just a minute. When we look at this, we take a breath. I told my class yesterday, just take a breath and look at it and find all the operations. So we have a divide, we have parentheses, we have a plus, and we have a multiply. The plus really doesn't have any emphasis right now because the parentheses override that. Now, divide, parentheses, multiply. Look here, and we see that the very first step is parentheses. So we're going to underline only that step. And that's all we're going to do in this step. So now we have 3 for an answer there. Put the rest of the problem around it. Just copy it. Take a breath. And then look at all the operations that we have here. We have a divide and we have a multiply. Now, multiply and divide are here on the same step. They have the same emphasis. So what did we tell? If we have a multiply and a divide, what are we going to need to do?
Times first.
Okay, whatever comes, did you say times first?
Yeah. The
What we're
three, wait.
We have to do the divide because
Oh,
remember on the multiply and divide, we go left to right,
That's
whichever one comes first. So this, we're going to, since divide and multiply are the same emphasis here, same importance, we're going to start with the leftmost one, like the way we read books. So 6 divided by 3 is 2 times, and we're going to write the rest of the problem down. We only have one more operation to do, the 2 times 2, and that's going to equal 4 would be our answer. Now, I'm going to show you real quick. 4 is the correct answer, okay? But I want to show you what if you did it in the other order. Watch what happens. What if you did the 3 times 2? And those that are watching the video, remember what I'm doing right now is not correct, and I want to show you why. If we do this first, then we have 6 for an answer, and it comes out 6 divided by 6 is 1, and that's the incorrect answer. Do y'all see why the order is so important? Yes? Okay. So be very, very careful. Okay, let's move on to more operations in the order of operations. And we'll do some here in a minute that have exponents in them. Now, some of these, Naomi, might be the ones that I gave you, and some of them may not be.
Okay.
Okay, so hang in there. All right, let's do this one. 36 minus 10 times 2 divided by 5 minus 11. See, they can string this stuff out forever. We're not working with exponents yet, but it's coming. All right, we're taking a deep breath. And then we look. We have a minus, we have a multiply, a divide, and a minus. Okay. We have a subtract, multiply, divide, and minus. So which operation do we need to do first? Do we have parentheses?
No.
No. Do we have exponents?
Oh.
Do we have multiply and divide?
Yes.
Yes, we do. And how do we do multiply and divide since they're both the same importance?
Go to the
Whatever
left.
comes first.
Good, left to the right. And so that means we will do multiply first this time because it's the one closer to the left. So we're only going to do one at a time. 10 times 2 is 20. Write the rest of the problem down. Okay? Now, we look again. We don't have as many operations, but we have a minus, we have a divide, and we have a minus. Which one do we do next?
Divide.
I just didn't hear you.
Divide.
Divide, yes, because multiply and divide are before add and subtract. And so we're going to go here. Some of my markers don't work. Okay, and we're just going to find one answer. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Write the rest of the problem around it. Now, when we get here, we actually have 2 minuses, but we have to decide which one we're going to do first. Which one?
Divide.
The
The
one closest to the left, right? Because you do add and subtract left to right. So we're going to do this one, which gives us 32, and then write down the rest of the problem. Since this is our last one, we're going to get 21 for an answer because we did it in the correct order. Any questions?
No.
Okay, let's move on to I'm going to do another long one and then we'll move into exponents. We'll have some exponents also. Ah, hi, Irene. Somebody moved the screen so I can see you. Were you hiding?
I was trying to hide.
Yes. You can't hide from a math teacher.
Yeah, we both sat at the back of the class today.
But it didn't help, did it? Because I
No.
can see you.
And we had Naomi sitting right up in the
We're
front.
missing the teacher.
Yes, yes. Okay, here we go. I'm going to find the longest one on this page.
Oh.
Here we go. Okay, 16 divided by 2 plus 6 times 5 plus 2 minus 47. All righty, check that out. Now before, when you very first started classes, you would have freaked out here, right? I think you would have freaked out because there's just too many and too much. But now you know the steps, and we know that we never freak out with long problems or fractions or any of that, because we eat our elephant one bite at a time, right? We don't have to worry about automatically knowing the answer. I don't automatically know this answer. So we're going to go by the steps. Do you all see any parentheses?
No,
Okay. Do you see any exponents?
no,
Okay. So we're going to look for multiply and divide. I think there's some in here. What do we do
Divide.
first?
divide,
Okay. We're going to divide this 16 by 2 because that's the one at the left. There's a multiply, you know, but we have to do left to right. So we're going to do this one first. We get an answer 8 plus 6 times 5 plus 2 minus 47. We took care of one of them. Okay, what do we do next?
6 times 5.
Excellent. 6 times 5, and our answer to that is 30 plus 2 minus 47. What do we do next?
8 plus 30.
Yes, yes, we have lots of pluses and a minus, but we know they are the same importance, and so we go left to right, and 8 plus 30 is exactly right. 38 plus 2 minus 47. It's getting better. Okay, and now
38 plus 2.
38 plus 2, because that's the leftmost operation. And so that gives us 40, and we're going to subtract 47. That's the last thing we have to do. And I know you guys, we need to be very, very careful when we take something and subtract something larger. This is like $40 in your checking account. You wrote a check for 47. Okay, this is bigger. We're subtracting something bigger. So what's your answer?
Minus 7.
7.
Yes, -7. That's exactly right. Because you're in the hole in your bank account. -7 is the correct answer. How do you feel?
Good.
We're
Good.
getting it. We're getting it.
Gosh, I think you are. I'm pretty proud of you. Okay, let's go to some parentheses and exponents. I'm going to just hit the exponents first. Okay, and then we might revise one to put parentheses in it. All righty. This is the first time that you've seen exponents. So right before I write the problem up here, I want to explain to you exponents. If you have a problem that says 3 squared, this 2 is the exponent, this is the base and exponent. So we're looking for these things. Now, what this means when you have an exponent, that says I'm going to multiply the base by itself this many times. So I have 3 times 3. So the answer to this 3 squared is 9. Now, if you're using your calculator, there's 2 different places on there, but the one that I would like for you to know, if you're using your calculator to try to do this 3 squared, you could do 3 times 3, but what are you going to do when it's 3 to the 11th power? Are you going to go 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 11 times?
Oh.
This is 3.
Yeah, you just hit the 3 key. And then there's a key on most every calculator I've ever seen. It's called, we call it a caret top. That means to the power of, and then you put the exponent here. So if you have your calculators at your desk, try this. 3, this says to the power of 2. This says 3 to the power of 2. And when you press enter, it will give you 9, not 6, because this isn't a multiply. This is to the power of. This is an exponent. I see you yawning, Irene. This Did I tell you about my Spanish teacher in the 4th grade? They did an experiment and tried to teach us Spanish in the 4th grade, which I still remember a little bit of it, but his name was Mr. Penick, and he was one rough character. And so here are these little tiny 4th graders, and somebody in the middle of our classroom one day yawned really big, and he threw a fit. He said, if you are yawning in my class, that means you're bored. That is rude, and that is just unacceptable. It's rude. I promise
Apologize, madam.
Irene, I know you have children and grandchildren. Okay. All right.
I yawned one time working out and the instructor got upset.
Because you
I
yawned?
drink-
Yeah,
I
I was like, sorry, it's boring.
I
No,
drink
you don't
coffee all night.
You can yawn in my class, but don't tell me I'm boring, okay?
Oh, no, you're not boring, but the instructor was.
Okay,
Let me put my
so
mask
let's
on.
try one of these order of operations with exponents. Here is 2. Uh-oh. I'm drying out. Let me get a good one. 2 times 3 to the 3rd plus 10. Okay, we're going to work on exponents this time. So as you look at this problem, you just chill, okay? We need to not be all excited or anxious about these problems. You know how to do this. So we're going to look and see, do I have any parentheses in this problem?
No.
No. Do I have exponents?
Yes.
Yes, I do. So this time I'm just going to underline what's going to happen here. I have to deal with my exponents. Now, what does 3 to the 3rd mean? Not necessarily the answer yet, but what does 3 to the 3rd power mean?
3 times 3 times 3.
You are exactly right.
So
3 times 3 times 3 is what this means, but you can put it in your calculator as 3 to the power of 3, okay? And we'll find out that that's 27, and you write down the rest of the problem. Do not get in a hurry with these. If you will practice in these steps, you will be able to do this correctly forever. All right, and now we're going to look at the equation, or the expression that we have. It's not an equation because there's no equals. It's an expression. And I have a multiply and a plus. Which one goes first?
multiply.
Multiply. And so 2 times 27 is 54. Write the rest of the problem around it. We only have one more operation, and it doesn't have any negatives or minus in it, so we don't have to worry about that. We're going to simply add and get 64 for the correct answer. Not hard when we add exponents, is it? We just know to do that first, after parentheses. Any questions on exponents?
No, ma'am.
You know, I'm going to keep on pumping it up, right? Right. Okay. Here we go. Let's do this one. 70 divided by 5. Lost it. Minus 2, and we call it to the 3rd power, or 2 cubed. They call that cubed. All righty. Go through your list. Which one do we do first?
The exponent.
The exponents. You would want to do this first, right? But we do the exponents first because that's what it says. So 2 cubed, or 2 to the 3rd power, is going to be 8. However you find that answer, you can put it in your calculator as 2 to the 3rd power, 2 to the power of 3. Get 8. We're going to write the rest of the problem around it. Only do one problem, or one part at a time. You have a divide and a minus. What are we going to do now?
Divide.
Okay, we're going to do the divide before we do a minus. 70 divided by 5 is going to be about 14
Yes, ma'am.
minus 8. This is our last one. And of course, 14 minus 8 will be 6. Everybody okay?
Yep.
Are you able to see the green? It's a little bit rough to see.
Yeah.
I just get tired of black and blue. Any questions on this one?
No, ma'am.
Naomi's still there hiding, isn't she?
Oh, good.
There she is. My beautiful Naomi. Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Here we go. Now, I'm going to do that same problem. I didn't mean to erase it. I want to do that same problem, but I'm going to adjust it. So 70 divided by 5 minus 2 cubed. Same problem, right? But this time, I'm going to add this to my problem. Makes it a different problem now. Okay, looking at it. Now this is going to be kind of it's going to mess with your brain just a little bit, okay? Okay, let's look at it. Yes, we have parentheses, right?
Yes.
Now, what's going to mess with you is, but we have exponents. So how can I do the parentheses first if I have an exponent in it? Well, what you're telling yourself, and this might be confusing at first, but I have to complete the parentheses. So I look inside of the parentheses and do an order of operations in here. So what I'm saying inside the parentheses, do I have another set of parentheses? No, but I do have exponents inside of this. So when you have a set of parentheses, you may need to start over with the order of operations that's inside to complete it. So I know that's confusing, but we're going to, since this is inside the parentheses, I have to do the exponent first. I think I wrote the whole, yeah. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Just that answer is 8, but we still have some more stuff inside of the parentheses, so we have to leave it like that. Write the rest of the problem around it. Do you notice that I didn't change anything that the way that we do it? I got one answer and wrote down everything else. Now we go to our PEMDAS again, and we say, I need to do parentheses first. Let's look inside the parentheses, and all we have is a minus, so I can do parentheses now. Here we go. So I'm going to do parentheses. 5 minus 8 is what?
-3.
Good, because we're subtracting something bigger than we started with. So we have a -3. We'll write the rest of the problem around it. Now this is going to happen to you. This is not something that comes out a whole number. It doesn't divide out evenly, but we can still do that on your calculator. We can do it by hand, or we can make it a fraction. So here are all the answers that you might get. And I don't have my calculator, so 70 divided by 3 is going to be 2, 3. So it'll either be negative, because we have one negative in a division problem, negative 23.333333, or, sorry, or we will have 70 divided by -3. So here's your decimal answer, 3. And here is your fractional answer. We'll look at this or put it in your calculator. and your calculator will give you the lowest terms. We're going to find out this is the lowest terms. Let me put it up here. It's right in that reflection. It's running out. Okay, now this brings up something else. In the fractions, you're going to find out that sometimes a fraction is written, let's put it in here for you. Okay, sometimes it might be written 70/3. It might be written as 70 over a -3, or the last way it could be written is -70/3. Now, what I'm trying to point out here is that if there is a negative in a fraction, it's pretty independent, this negative is, and it can float around anywhere. So the negative could be on the top, the negative could be on the bottom, or the negative could actually be out front of this fraction, and all of these mean the same thing. Okay? The negatives, it doesn't matter where it is, it still has the same value. Now don't try to put two negatives in there. Don't try to put one on the 70 and one on the 3. We don't do that. They're not fractions with two negatives. And we learned what to do with those. So do you see why your answer is -70/3? Did you all get that? And the ones that have calculators at your desk right now, and you know there's calculators up there in my desk in the bottom drawer on the left. If you need them, just sign out and sign it back in, okay? Because if you used your calculator, you might get this -23, and then your calculator would show a bunch of 3s. This line up here means that the 3 is going to continue to repeat. Any questions on that? We had an exponent inside of parentheses. Yikes. Okay, let's do one more. And then I'll leave you to working on the worksheets. But before we do, I want to go back and do a few equations again. Okay, because there's some that you guys are still having trouble with. Okay, here we go. 6 squared minus 92 divided by 4. Now what I'm going to do is give you about 2 minutes. I want to give you a head start. And then y'all can see if, when we do it together, if you did it correctly. What did y'all underline first?
Exponent.
Okay, exponents. And so we're only going to do the 6 squared. That means 6 times 6, or 6 to the power of 2, or 6 times 6, which is 36. Write the rest of the problem. What did y'all decide to do next?
92.
The divide, 92 divided by 4. I heard it from a couple of you. Okay, and when you divide this, it's going to do, is it 23?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I have 36 minus 23. If you'll notice, the one that I start with is bigger than this, so the answer is going to be positive. So I have like 13.
Yes.
13 for a final answer. Any questions on that? Are you guys getting it?
Mm-hmm.
Aha, I knew it. You guys are geniuses. Okay, let's throw a kink in it. Same problem. Of course, I wouldn't just leave you with an easy problem, would I? So how about is the same problem had parentheses right here? I'm looking for parentheses. I see it. But inside of the parentheses is a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to have to use the order of operations again inside of the parentheses until I'm done. So inside of the parentheses, I don't see another parentheses, but I do see an exponent. So we are going to do the exponent, but it's still going to be in parentheses. Do you guys understand?
Mhm.
We have 6 squared is 36. And then I'm going to put the rest of the problem around it, which involves a parentheses still. So looking at this problem, I still have parentheses that I have to deal with. Notice that what I started with is much smaller than what I subtracted, so I know my answer is going to be a negative.
56.
What is it?
56.
56, good. Negative 56, and write the rest of the problem around it. So I just have one more. This is, it looks like a minus sign, but since there's not another number out here, it's a negative 56. And remember, our negatives and our minuses work a lot the same. So I'm going to work this problem. And 56, hey, comes out even. Look at that. So I'm going to have a negative because there's only one negative in this divide. And it's going to be negative 14 for an answer now. Is that what y'all got?
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes I mess up doing stuff in my head. Do you see the difference that it makes when you add a parentheses? It changes the whole problem. How are we doing?
Good.
Okay, for now, are there any questions on the order of operations?
No.
No.
Okay, so I want to go back and review a little bit on, to review a little bit on solving equations, because you guys have the steps in solving equations down with the elementary part, with the add, subtract, and multiply, and divide is a little bit iffy, so we'll do some of those. And then we'll include putting variables on both sides. There are some that's causing some problems, so I'm going to deal with those now. So no questions on order of operations right now?
No.
Let's switch gears, okay?
What was it?
This is solving equations again. And it's from a worksheet. Naomi, again, you may have this worksheet, you may not.
Okay.
I will tell you what number it is on the worksheet, and then if you don't have it, text me afterwards and let me know, okay?
Okay.
All right. Here's the first one. We're going to solve this equation, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the problem ones with you. Nine parentheses b minus 1 parentheses equals 63. Now, believe it or not, the steps are still the same. The steps have never changed and will never change for the equations. So the very first step we did was put our line down through the equal sign so we can remember or make your mind see two sides that need to be balanced. You can think of this as a fence line. In order to balance, you have to have the same thing on this side as you have on this side. So we also keep in mind the order of operations. And so when we circle this variable, which is the second step that we always do, a line circle the variable so that we know which side to pay attention to. We're going to pay attention to the B side, but we don't want to get rid of the B. We want to get rid of everything else. Now, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, that normally we would see a -1 and need to get rid of the -1 by doing a +1. The only problem here is that the +1 is trapped inside of the parentheses. My mind goes to a barn or a warehouse that the 1 is trapped inside of. You can't just go in there and pull one piece out. It's illegal, mathematically illegal. So what we have to do, like our PEMDAS said, we need to take care of these parentheses first. Now, usually when we have a parentheses, we have a number, and it's easy to get rid of the parentheses because we just subtract the numbers and have an answer. In this case, we have a variable here, so we don't know the value of the variable yet, so we can't do the subtraction. If we run into a problem like that, and we need to unlock this building, then we look outside of the building. He's the one that has the key to the building. We know that when this number is crammed up next to something, it's multiply. It's an invisible multiply when they're crammed together. So what we're going to use is the distributive property, B-I-S-T-R-I-B-U-T-I-V-E, distributive property. We've talked about this before, earlier, but I need you to see it again. Remember, it takes 42 times for me to tell y'all something, and then it'll stick. Do you remember our 42 times?
Yes.
Okay, so the distributive property says, if I have somebody outside of this building.
No, I like what she's doing because this is from home now.
That was Linda. What'd you say again?
Oh, hold on. I gotta mute myself. No, it's not for you.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, the distributive property, if I have somebody outside of this warehouse, he can unlock this warehouse. And he does it by using the distributive property. You take the 1 outside and multiply it by every piece that's inside the parentheses. So we're going to do this one at a time. The first thing we need to know is if a variable is by itself and it doesn't have any number in front, what is the number in front?
A 1.
It's a 1. We always have that invisible 1 that's in front of a variable. If there's not a number showing, it's a 1. So when we choose to do this multiply, 9 times 1b, we'll take 9 times 1, which is 9, but it also includes a b right here in this term. So I have 9b, 9 times the first term. Then I'm going to put this sign in there. So I've used it. It will not become a negative because I've already written it down as a minus. It's not going to serve both purposes, just one or the other. Now, after I put the sign down, I'm going to have to take 9 times the second piece. So I have 9 times 1 is 9 equals 63. Now that I've opened this and let the numbers out, now I don't have to worry. This looks more familiar to you. We're going to circle the variable again. We have the line down through the equal sign. We're going to circle the variable. So we're going to focus on this side. We need to get rid of this 9 and that 9. We decided that it's very important which one you get rid of first. So we think of a silly story, and our silly story is that the 9 and the B are so close to each other. These are best friends. So if they're at a party together, the best friends are going to stay together. The stragglers are going to go home. So we have to send the straggler home first. we're going to add 9 because it was a minus. Use the opposite operations. This is a 0 pair because the numbers are the same, the signs are opposite, they zero each other out. Don't just cross them out, make a 0 because you're teaching your brain something. If we added 9 to this side, we have to do exactly the same thing to keep these balanced. This one came out 0. So now when I add straight down, I have a 9b left equals 63 plus 9, 72. Now, when I go back and look, I have a line down through the equal sign, I circle the b, I can see that I'm not finished because the b is not by itself. The b has to be alone by itself, and that's how I know I'm finished. So now I focus on the b side, I focus on the side with the variable, and I see that I've got to get rid of the best friend. I've got to get rid of this 9 now. And so if there is not an operation, we know it's an understood multiply because these are crammed together. The opposite of multiply is divide. So I have to divide by what I'm getting rid of. Whatever I do to one side has to be done to the other side. And so my ending, I'm going to put over here because of the reflection. So the 9 divided by 9, any number divided by itself is 1. So I'm going to end up with 1b equals 72. Yes, 72. This means division. 72 divided by 8 or 9 is 8. And we learned that 1b and a Plano b are the same thing. Yes? Now what I want to do, I showed you this just once, but what we're going to do, maybe you're doing your test and you go, I don't know if that's the right answer or not. Well, let's check your answer. So all you do is take the answer that you got, plug it in where the b is in your original equation. Let's get all my work done. Okay, so now this says the value of b in my problem is 8. So where I have a b, I'm just going to write 8. So I have 9 parentheses. Now I'm going to put an 8 instead of a b. It's not 8b, it's just 8 minus 1 equals 63. Since I can do parentheses, I'm going to find out that this is 7 times 9 equals 63. You can already see that it'll work, but you need to go one more step and find out what 9 times 7 is. Write the 63 over here and the 63. When you get to this point and they equal the same thing, the check works. And so you know that the answer that you got is correct. How's that? Doing okay?
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure you have it down, and then we're going to look at something else that might give you problems. And remember, I don't care if you ask me questions 24 times, 42 times. I don't mind. Keep asking until you get it. Let's do the next one. Now, the next one is going to deal with not parentheses, but you're going to have the variable on both sides. Now, we've done this once, I think, but once is not enough. So let's do this one. Here we go. 2 minus a equals 2a plus 6. And that's a negative 2a, okay, guys? Negative 2a plus 6. cramp in my thumb when I was writing.
And start.
Pardon? We okay? 2 minus a equals negative 2a plus 6. Put a line down through the equal sign. That never changes. We circle the a. Ah, we circle the a. Uh-oh. So here's what we have to do. When we look at it and we had to circle the a in 2 different places, then we need to remedy that first. I only want the a in one spot, okay? So again, our silly stories kind of stick in my head, and my students seem to remember them. I think of this as the fence line, and there's a party going on one side, but all of the A's that were supposed to be at one party drifted into another yard. And I don't want that. We've got to bring all the A's back into the same yard. Now you have a choice here. It doesn't matter which way you go. You can get rid of the A off this side by moving it to here, or you can choose to get rid of this A and move it over here. You will get the same answer no matter which one you choose. Everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
You can move the A's either way and you will still get the right answer. So don't get freaked out about that. Let's just do this one. It really doesn't matter. So remember that if there's not a number in front of the A, that it's a 1, okay? So I have a minus 1A here. I want that guy to move out of here, okay? And I don't want to just get rid of the 1. I want to get rid of the whole thing. He's got to get out of here. So since I have a minus 1A, I'm going to plus 1A to get him gone. Now, if I did it to this side, I have to do exactly the same thing to the other side. And I want to put it, see, the A's have their own space. This is not A's. So I'm going to put this 1A plus 1A with the A's. Now, I had a negative 1A and I added 1A. Remember, if these are the same and the signs are different, then it's a 0 pair, additive inverse, and they're gone. So now when I add straight down, I have 2. That 2 comes down, equals. Now, I have a negative 2A's plus 1A. So I'm going to have a negative 1A left. Do y'all understand what I did here? It's just like adding and subtracting plain numbers, but we can do it as long as these letters are the same. So I took negative 2 plus 1 gives me a negative 1, but A goes with it. Do y'all understand what I'm doing? Questions on that? And of course, I'm sorry,
I got stuck.
you think you see it?
No, she got stuck.
On the second part right there.
On this part right here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Did you get stuck on the reason that I'm doing it or how it ended up?
How you ended up?
Okay. You know that I'm trying to get rid of this. That's why I added 1A and that I got rid of it. Had to do the same thing over here. Let's do this. Do you remember when we were doing negatives and positives?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's put on the screen what would be negative 2A's. So here's an A and here's an A, but they're negative. Are you okay with that? Negative 2A's. And then I have a positive 1A. Now remember, before, do you guys remember what I'm doing here, or is this confusing?
No, yes.
No, just keep going.
Okay, keep going. Okay, remember when I talked to you before, the dark ones are negatives and the light ones are positive. And before we can find the answer, I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. Before we can find the answer to this, we have to get rid of all the zero pairs, which means a negative that matches a positive. So when we look here, we have a negative that matches a positive, and so we can get rid of that because this is a zero pair, and all that's left is a negative A. It works the same as if I didn't have A's, I just had numbers. So it would be -2 + 1 is -1, but we're dealing with A's, so we add the A onto it. Sort of. We'll get to do this.
How come you don't just say -2 - 1 instead of +1? Because that right there confuses me.
But it's not -1, it's plus.
Yeah, I know, that's what I said. I mean, because when I see the add, I want to add. I don't want to subtract.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Let me see if I can figure out how. Because it's -2.
1, yeah.
Now you can look at it and say, okay, I have a +1 and the negative is like a minus. You can do that if you don't mix yourself up.
Okay.
Is that helping what you just said?
Yeah, I'll just try to keep it in mind. Because I
Okay,
automatically want to add.
it is adding straight down, but it's adding negatives and positives. So.
Like, no, it's not.
Okay, you can see that we're not finished with this problem.
Yeah.
Because I circle where the variable is now.
Okay.
I'm really excited because the variable is only on one side, which is what we need. So I'm looking on this side and I'm seeing a -1 and a 6. I need to get rid of both of those because I want the A by itself. So which one do I get rid of now?
6.
The 6.
Okay, and how do I do that?
-6.
-6. And to keep it balanced, I have to jump the fence and do it over here. Now again, Rebecca, we're going to add straight down, okay? I'm going to use add. Okay, this one is, the numbers are the same, the signs are different, so they zero out. It's a zero pair or additive inverse. When I add straight down, I have a -1A. And this is a +2 plus a -6, 2 plus a -6, or 2 minus 6.
It's a 2 - 6, ain't it?
Same thing.
See?
2 plus a -6 is the same as 2 minus 6.
Okay.
Same thing. So what do you get?
4.
Okay, and you started with something small and subtracted
I'm
something
sorry,
too big.
-4.
So it's a -4. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we get to this place, we've talked about just erasing the 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it's a -1, we can't erase it. We have to go one more step. So if this was a 5A, this is multiply. So if it was 5A, how would you get rid of the 5? It's
Divide.
Divide. So you're going to divide by what you want to get rid of. I want the -1 gone. So I have to divide by the -1 because I want it gone. If I do it to that side, I have to do it to this side. So when I look at this, the 1 divided by 1 is 1, but I've got to deal with the negatives. and a negative and another negative cancel each other out. So I simply have, and I'm going to put it over here again because of the reflection. I have A on this side, a positive A now, equals, and over here, 4 divided by 1 is 4. And one negative and the other negative cancel each other out. So I have a positive 4 equals A. Let's go back and check it. Are you through with the work?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to leave my answer. I'm going to go back up to the original. Let's say I just thought, I'm second guessing myself and I'm just not sure.
It's on.
Hello?
It's Linda. I'm just kind of let you know, I'm going to stay on till about 10:25. So I have another meeting on Zoom at 10:30, but
All
I'm
right.
just giving you a heads up. I'm actually enjoying this.
Yay.
Hey, B.
And it will be recorded, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I'll send, or it should go with that link I've already sent you.
All right.
Okay. Now, if we're going to check our answer, then it says in this problem, we found out that the value of A is 4. So to check it, I can put 4 every place there was an A. I can say 2 minus 4 is equal to -2. And since this is times, I'm just going to do this. So it'll be times plus 6. Do y'all see how I just put the 4 where the A's were?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just going to work the problem. 2, which is small, is subtracting something that's bigger. So it's a -2 equals, now I've got to do the math over here. -2 times 4, -2 times 4 is a -8 plus 6. I'm going to keep on going until the numbers look the same down here at the bottom. So this is only one number here. -8 plus 6. This is the same as 6 minus 8, if you want to think that way. 6 was smaller and we subtracted something bigger. So the difference is 2, but it was a bigger number that we were subtracting. So -2 equals -2. And since it came out exactly the same, that means our answer was correct in the beginning. But this is how you check your answers. You just add the value back into the original problem and work it out. Irene, doing okay?
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca?
She went to the bathroom.
Oh, okay. Naomi?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, and let me see. I want to do 1 or 2 more. I know that it's a long lesson today, but you need to see 2 more. And then I want you to work on your worksheets. I will stay on. And when it logs me out at the end of 3 hours, I will be sending Rebecca an invite again so that you can ask questions up until the time you leave. Is everybody okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at least 2 more.
She could do it. Mm-hmm.
Did we finish?
I think she's gonna work tomorrow.
Okay, let's do this one. Hi, Rebecca.
Hello. I had to run to the ladies' room.
Yeah, that's what they said, which is just fine. I told you that our breaks, we do it anytime. You gotta go, you gotta go. That's kind of why I'm home.
Is this
Okay.
still?
So here's the problem. It's x plus 7 over 2 equals -9. So we're dealing with fractions, we're dealing with negatives, But we don't care because we know how to do it all. So first step is always first step. Line down through the equal sign. Second step, circle your variable. Now the cool thing is when we circled the variable, it's only on one side. So you don't have to get that guy at the other party and bring him home. You don't have to do that. That's a good thing. Now, if you will look at this, and I need you to remember this because a lot of the later teachings that I'm going to do is if you see the variable and a number together, lots of times, and in this case, it's all on top of a fraction, so it's a set. It's just, you treat it as one thing for right now. That might be confusing, but I'll just show you how. So when you look at this problem, you say, I would like the X gone, but I really don't know what to do with it. And then the thinking in your head is, man, this would be a lot easier if I get rid of the fraction. So we're going to get rid of the fraction. Okay? That's how I would think, and I hope it helps. Now, since the 2, this is what I want to get rid of, is the 2. And since it's hooked together with the other stuff by divide, then I know I have to do the opposite operation to get rid of it. So I want to multiply this by 2. Now, some of you put 2 down here, which is okay for now, but it's going to cause you a lot of problems later. There's a very good possibility that if you put 2, then you're going to get 4 down here, which is not part of the problem at all. If you have a fraction, it's best if you multiply here. This was divided by 2, so you want to multiply by 2. And so I'm going to multiply by 2 over here. See how I balanced the equation? Times 2 times 2. So it's balanced. Since this is a fraction, I'm going to make this a fraction. It just makes it easier to deal with. And I know that if I have a 2 on top that matches a 2 on the bottom, both of those will divide by 2 and it'll give us 1. So here's 1 and here's 1. We can cancel those out. And this will always happen because you're putting the same number up here. That's what you want to happen. So all that's left on this side is 1 times this stuff, and 1 times anything is that anything. So I have x plus 7. I don't have the over 2 anymore because it changed to a 1, and I don't write the 1 on the bottom. Equals negative times positive, negative times positive. What's the sign going to be?
Negative.
Negative, good. Negative, and then you just multiply and get 18. From this point, you look at the equation and you say, am I done? And no, you're not done because the x is not by itself. Always circle the variables. I've caught a couple of you not circling the variables, and you have already suffered some of the confusion by not doing that. So remember to circle your variable every time. Now we're going to look on the variable side, and we see if I want the x to be by itself, I have to get rid of this. It's a plus 7 right now. In order to get rid of it, I have to do the opposite operation, and I have to balance the equation. Now this will be one of the reasons, Rebecca, why I say add, add, add. Okay, I can't say, well, sometimes you add and sometimes you subtract, because that would be even worse for you. So let's always think add straight down. Again, right here, as always, the 7s are the same, signs are different. It makes it an additive inverse or a 0 pair. So when I add straight down, I have x equals, now I'm going to add negatives. So I've got 18 negatives. I'm not going to do them all, but I've got 18 negatives. This gives you an idea. 18 negatives and 7 negatives that I'm going to add together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. that I'm going to add together. Now, if I add negatives, I want to take out all the zero pairs first. Are there any zero pairs? Zero pairs mean I have to have a positive that cancels a negative. Do I have any positives? No. So this is your answer. You count all your negatives. I'm adding negatives together. So it's going to be all of these, and they're going to be black. Negatives are black, and I added. I'm adding negatives. I would love to change this for you, Rebecca, but I will only be doing you an injustice if I do.
Right.
We're adding straight down. Do you see the blacks, how we're adding?
Yes.
Okay. So the answer here is negative 25. And I'll leave it up to you to check your answer. It is the correct answer. Well, I hope so. Do you need another one like this? Let me see if one more is all we need, okay? And then I want you to start on some worksheets, okay?
Okay.
My husband, again this morning. No, you did? Because I thought you didn't answer.
Okay, let's do, yeah, I think for right now, we can just do one more. On these pages that I printed out for myself, there are some that are going to cause you problems, and that's okay. Do the ones that you can, put stars by the ones that you can't. Here we go. P, this is the last one. P minus 3.6 over 6 equals 2.3.
Okay, this one's different.
How different?
Oh, I never seen the 3.6 before.
Yes, you're exactly right. These are decimals, and that's the reason I gave you this one. Because, believe it or not, everything, Rebecca, is the same. Okay? And the decimals are the least of the problems. The decimals are super easy. Okay? I'll show you how it works. First and second steps. Line down through the equal sign and circle your variable. We look at it, and the variable is only in one place, so we don't have to move variables. Only if they're in two different spots across the fence. That's when we do it. Okay? And then we look at it, and you can think of this as a set. You don't have to put parentheses around it, but you think of it as a set. And when you look at this problem, you say, wow, this would sure be a lot easier if it wasn't a fraction. So let's get rid of that fraction first. So the 6 is what we want to get rid of, and it's hooked to the top how? The 6 in the top, what's the operation?
So it's going to be multiplied.
Yes, it's divide right now. And so it's divide. So we have to multiply. I'm going to multiply out here because it's a fraction. I want to do it out here. I'm going to multiply by 6 because it was divided by 6. That's a multiply. I made it kind of big. Multiply by 6. And so I'm going to multiply by 6 over here. Now, the only reason that I choose to put this over 1 is because that was a fraction. It's easier if this one's a fraction. And when I look at it, I see that there is a number on top with a number on bottom that can cancel. They can divide by the same thing. They're going to divide by 6. When I divide this by 6, I get a 1. And when I divide this by 6, I get a 1. When now I'm going to see what I'm left with. And I'm left with 1 times all of this stuff. So I just have P minus 3.6. Because it's over 1, 1 times 1 is 1, and I don't write the 1 on the bottom, equals. And now I have 2.3 times 6. Now, Rebecca, I'm going to do this long ways, but you can also do it in the calculator. I take 2.3 and I multiply it by 6, just like you multiply any other number. Do the multiplication first. So 6 times 3 is 18. You carry 1. 6 times 2 is 12, and add 1 is 13. Then the only thing different you do is you go up into the problem and you see how many decimal places, that means numbers that are after a decimal, how many of them do you see? And you only see 1. There's a decimal and there's only 1. So you start from the back in the answer and move that 1 place. And so the answer to 2.3 times 6 is 13.8. See, the multiplication is exactly the same. It's the placement of the decimal, that's all. And this happens in multiply. In multiply, you just count all of these decimal places, move the decimal from the back as far as you need to move it. Do you have that written down?
Yes.
You can look at it in a little bit? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and so now we're at this place where it's a lot easier to look at. We circle the P, and so we know we have to get rid of this because we're focusing on this side. This is a minus 3.6, so I need to add the very same thing. When I do it to this side, I'm going to do it to this side. Now, the only thing you have to remember about decimals here, Rebecca, is that when you're adding or subtracting, you just keep the decimals in a straight line. So when I add 3.6 over here, my point is going to go right underneath the other one. So it's going to be 3.6. That's the only thing about decimals that you need to know. They add and subtract and multiply exactly the same. So now I have the same numbers with opposite signs, which makes 0, an additive inverse, a 0 pair, and I have P left. And all I have to do is add straight down. There's no negatives or minuses involved, so I'm just going to add. 8 plus 6 is 14. The decimal is there. Have to keep it in a straight line, see? I'm going to carry. I have 7 and 1. So P equals 17.4. The decimals are probably the least of your worries. Okay? What do y'all think?
I'm gonna have to do it 42 times so I can get it.
Okay, okay. And there shouldn't be any reason why I don't come tomorrow, hopefully. So we'll go over these again, the 41 more times, okay?
Okay.
But right now, I want y'all to get together and I want you to try to work these and help each other out. I'm going to stay on. I'll probably move this into my kitchen table and sit down, but I will definitely be here for you. And watch your, will it be text or Rebecca, text or email that I need to send the invitation again? Because I'll get shut out here about 11:30.
Email.
Okay, email. Okay, and then I'll text you and say, I sent it to you. Get back
Okay.
on. All right.
Okay.
So if I just disappear, you know what happened.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh.
Oh, what were you saying? For us to go eat at Jalisco's? Just getting them.
So all your worksheets are up front.
Yeah, we're getting them. Do I get
Okay,
off of here and wait for the next one?
You can, but if you have questions,
Oh, but we stay on until you it comes off, right?
Yes, I think you should
Gotcha.
stay on. That way you can come on with questions.
Okay.
And I'm going to stick around really close where I can hear you. But I'm
Okay.
going to take a break real quick.
Okay, go ahead. It's okay, we can go eat. You wanna go eat after class? ¿Tú jalistas?
Si quieres, yo puedo ir ahorita. Ir a agarrarlos.
Oh, sí.
¿Quieres algo? ¿A ver? Yeah, how much are they?
I don't know what I want.
I'll go straight to it.
Right. I don't know what I want. What do you usually get there?
I always get just a bean cheese. Anywhere I go, I just get bean cheese. What? A
Bean cheese.
Bean cheese. They are very good. I get, I guess bacon and egg.
I think I want potato and egg. I'll get you next time.
I shall be back. ¿Cómo viene más? Ya ves que Jesús dijo a sus manos.
Which one are you gonna do first? Two-step equations?
Ya, se van a hacer.
Ya se me olvidó. Sí.
Okay, move into the kitchen table.
Okay.
Thanks.
Is that good? I don't
Come on.
Test.
Mhm. Mhm. I know what level I'm at. I'm in 6th grade level. That's all I remember.
Yeah, I think that's simple for you. It'll be okay with you.
Oh, yeah. If I had had a teacher like her when I was in school, I would have stayed in school.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have a very nice teacher. I had a teacher that would hit me on my head because I couldn't get it.
That's basic.
Mhm. I was, in the 4th or 5th grade? Yeah, so that kind of discouraged me.
I know that those years.
Are different than now.
Because I took coffee.
It was cold. I cleaned the living room and my kitchen last
Oh, yeah?
night. Mhm.
So how did you get the Zoom on the laptop? Use Wi-Fi?
Yeah, like you bring your laptop
Uh-huh.
here. I've got the password for the Wi-Fi here, and then you can do it on there. Just tell her to email it to you.
Do you have to do like download it?
It's just like what's on your phone, like when she sends
Oh,
it on
yeah.
your phone, it's the same thing. It's the same thing on the email.
And in case I forget to tell you guys, the last one that leaves the room, will you take the sign-in sheet downstairs? And then I will just sign it tomorrow. Just give it to
Oh,
them.
okay. Okay,
So y'all get credit for being there.
okay. I already got stuck on one,
All right.
and it's 12 equal
Hang on,
18.
I'm getting my notebook.
Oh, okay. Tell me when you're ready.
Sure, I just have to get something to write with. All right, 12 equals
18, subtract D, the letter D.
D.
D
like-
like in dog.
Okay. Okay, what's the first thing you did?
I put the line down the equal sign and circled the variable.
Very good. Okay, what's the next thing you did?
That's all I did was the line down the equal and the circle the
Okay.
variable.
We're going to focus on the right-hand side because that's where the variable is, right?
Oh, okay, yes.
Okay. So all I see is a negative or a minus, and I also see an 18. Okay.
Right.
So 18's the straggler, right?
Okay. Okay.
And what is the sign on the 18?
Like, you mean like minus or?
Yes. Is it positive or
Okay.
negative? Remember, the sign is to the left of the number.
Oh, positive.
Good girl. Good girl. Okay. And so since it's a positive, how do you want to get rid of that?
So we're gonna add.
It already is add.
Oh, then we subtract.
Okay. Now what's confusing you is the minus that's behind the 18, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that minus that's behind the 18 doesn't go with the 18. It only goes with the D.
Okay.
So
Stop
it's
looking
like
at
a
it.
negative on the D.
Okay.
You
So do
only
Go ahead.
pay attention to the sign to the left of the number, and that tells us what to do. So since there is a positive on the 18, the way we get rid of it is a minus. It's like a plus 18, so now we have to minus 18. I'm going to show you what I'm writing.
Oh, okay. Okay, and I do it on the other side too.
Do you see?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we draw our big line because we're going to have another equation. Now, the part that you're okay with is the positive 18 and the negative 18. Since they're the same number and they have opposite signs, then they zero out. So zero them out. They're additive inverses. They're a zero pair. Here I am. I'm going to continue to show you steps.
Okay.
We're okay?
Yes.
Okay. So when I add straight down, and yeah, we're going to have to call it add.
Yeah.
We have a positive 12 plus a negative 18. Now you can think of it like 12 minus 18 if you want to, and I'm going to show you this also. Okay, look up here over the side. See, it's 12 plus a negative 18, but plus a negative can be a minus.
Oh, okay.
So both of these are exactly the same.
Okay.
Do you want to write those down while they're there?
Yeah. Okay.
So when we go back, get down, Goose. So when we go back to the problem, we're looking at the left-hand side now, and it says 12 plus a negative 18. It's the same as 12 minus 18. So we're subtracting something bigger. It's too big, right?
Yes.
So that makes it a negative. And you can use your calculator. Did you get one out of my desk that you can use?
No, I have my own.
Oh, good, good. And you should have gotten a negative 6, did you?
Yes.
Now on the other side, sometimes it's tricky also because you didn't do anything to that minus D. So you have to bring the minus down as a negative. So now I have negative 6 equals negative D. Uh-oh, wrong side. Ah,
Oh, okay. I see it now. Mm-hmm.
so you have to bring the negative down because it's to the left of the D.
Okay.
Are you okay with that so far?
So does that mean that we're not done?
That means we're not done because we still have something in front of the D. Now, in order to get rid of that negative, it's kind of confusing, but remember if there's not a number in front of the D, what's the number?
1.
Well, yes, yes. So put a 1 in between your negative and your D. See the 1?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always invisible and it's there, okay? Now, if you look at it and circle your D, then that means I have to get rid of the negative 1, right?
Yes.
Yes. And so the negative 1 right now, how is it hooked to the D?
Multiply.
Yes, ma'am. So how are you going to get rid of it? You have to do the opposite of multiply.
Divide.
Divide. And we're going to divide by exactly what we're trying to get rid of. And we're trying to get rid of a negative 1. So we're going to divide by a negative 1. We want that whole thing gone. And if you do it to one side, you have to do it to the other side. Will it help if I put this in pen next time? Is it
Oh,
hard
it's
to
fine. It's
Okay.
okay. Mhm.
So now, either side, let's start at the left-hand side. And 6 divided by 1 is 6, right?
Yes.
And I have a negative and a negative. When I have 2 of them there, they cancel each other out. So cancel those negatives out. And so I have a positive 6 on the left-hand side. I'll show it to you in just a minute.
Okay.
And then on the right-hand side, I've got two negatives again that are canceling each other out. So cancel those out. And so I just have 1D. Okay, here's what I have. Okay, this way.
Okay.
Okay, do you understand it?
Mhm.
And because we usually don't write a 1, an invisible 1 in front of the D, we're going to erase that and say D equals 6.
Okay,
Sort of.
I got it.
Probably the big thing there for you is that negative in front of the D. And sometimes it's confusing when it was after a number. You want to call it minus, and so you want to plus. Always look at the sign to the left of the number. That's the sign that goes with the number. The sign to the left.
Okay.
Like, so the 18 is a positive
Oh, okay.
because the positive is to the left of the number. You see? And the
Yes.
negative or the minus is to the left of the D, so it goes with the D. Sort of?
Yeah, I think so. Let me try the next one.
All right, and let me know. I'm gonna be
Okay.
here doing my thing like I do in class. I'll be here for
Okay.
you.
Okay, thank you.
Someone's bacon?
Oh, this one.
Someone's yours?
¿Tienes sal?
¿Quieres salsa? ¿You want salsa?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
I don't want chips and salsa.
Okay.
If y'all also have questions and you want to show me the work you've done and if you're making a mistake, you can actually take a picture and text that to me and I'll look at it for you and point out where you need some help, okay?
Okay.
So whatever works for y'all.
Mhm.
I just sent you a text, Deborah.
Okay, I'm looking, I just got it. Let me look. Okay. Okay, what I'd like for you to do, underneath your first line, where you have a -10 and a -10,
Mm-hmm.
and you bring down that 0,
Yeah,
it's going to be easier for you to zero out the plus and -10 up there on the first step, and don't write the 0 in the bottom step. Write 5B. You forgot to bring your 5B down into that step.
that's right.
And
That's why it
then,
looked weird to me.
and then you need to erase your bottom step and that bottom line for starters, because what you did in your brain, you knew what it looked like the answer was, but you didn't show your work, which caused a problem. Now, your answer, your answer wasn't right either. So underneath the line that says -10 and -10,
Mm-hmm.
underneath that line, it should show 5B equals 20, not -20. 5B equals a +20. Do you see why? Because your 30 is a whole bunch bigger than what you were subtracting. So you need a
That's right.
5B equals +20. Now, when you look at the 5B, you need to get rid of the 5, right? Because you circled
Yes.
your B. Okay. And how are you going to get rid of that 5?
Multiply.
It is multiplied now.
Oh, divide now.
So you're going to divide. So let's divide both sides by 5. Show your division. And draw your big old line underneath there for the answer. Now, on the left-hand side, the B or the 5s cancel. There's a 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom, and 5 divided by 5 is 1, right? And on the right-hand side, you have 20 divided by 5, which is 4 now. Do you see where you had 5 before? You kind of, when somebody's good enough at the divide, you'll find yourself skipping and not realizing what you're doing because you can already see it, you know, and so you skip some steps, which causes problems. But do
Right.
you see now?
Yes, I see it now.
Okay, continue to do this if you want to.
Okay, I'm gonna go on to the next one, see if I can figure it out. Okay.
You're doing great. Irene wasn't talking to me, was she?
Uh-uh.
Okay. Naomi, how are you doing?
We're writing and eating.
Yeah,
It's okay. Eating is, you need to do that.
I'm getting it.
Oh, you're getting there. I like your steps are really pretty.
Thank you.
So you're getting the right answer each time?
Yes.
Good girl.
I do have this one. I don't know if you can see it. It's probably blurry. It's
No, hang on. Put it back there. I'm writing it down.
okay. Number 3, 35
35
minus 4y
equals Y.
equals y.
All right. And of course, you put your line down through the equal sign. And when you circle variables, they're on two sides, which causes a problem, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in this one, just like before, you can move either one of the Y's. But in this case, if you choose to get rid of the one Y off of that side, then it ends up being 0 over that side, which is not a problem. But it just adds an extra step. And I'm just telling you because I know. So what I would do is move the 4y over to the other side.
Okay.
So we need to get rid of the 4y. And how are we going to do that?
+4.
Plus 4y. And we're going to make sure that the y is on that because I don't want to split the 4 and the y up and leave part of it there. I want it all gone. That's why I'm doing plus a 4y. And then we're going to do plus a 4y on the other side.
Yes.
Okay, you're okay so far?
Yes.
So the 4y's on the left-hand side 0 each other out. And now when I add straight down, I've got 35 equals, now you need to remember that that top y that doesn't have a number in front of it is a 1. So when you add straight down, you've got 5 y's now.
5y.
Okay,
Okay.
so 5y. And then tell me where you go from there.
You're gonna divide 5 on each side.
That's exactly right. Perfect. And so your 5 divided by 5 equals 1, right?
Mhm.
So I've got 1y, but I just write y equals what?
7.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
Do you see that you could have, go back up to the beginning, you
Mhm.
could have subtracted 1y. And if you stay with your steps, you would get there sooner or later. It would just add extra steps. It would be a
Okay.
longer problem.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you so
Right.
much.
You're most welcome. Keep them coming. I need to earn my pay. Better, Rebecca? Just little by little, elephant bites, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, you all might check out when you have a chance. I laid out those books on the shelf over there yesterday. And the ones that are laid out have a lot of information on pre-algebra, and there are books like that just have to do with fractions or just have to do with addition. You can look through those. Those are available for you all to take and use. You can either use them here in the classroom, you can take them, I assume you can make copies. If you want worksheets, you can just take a picture of it, a page, and work on it, scan it, whatever you need to do, but those are for y'all.
Okay.
So if you're needing help on a particular basic operation that we're not touching anymore, look over those. You're welcome to them, okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Did you hear me, Deborah?
I heard something, Irene. Yes?
I said I'd rather stick with you.
Oh, you'd better stick with me, but those are extras, okay?
I don't think the boat talks to me though.
Oh, no, it won't talk to you. Good girl. You a good boy. Yes, you are. Are you missing mama? Hmm? Are you missing your mama? Okay, go. Go. Okay, Rebecca, I'm not going to wait to be kicked off. I'm going to go ahead and log out, and then I will send you a link to log back in, okay? I
Okay,
will send it to your email, all right?
okay,
So what I need you to do is you need to get out first before I get out, okay?
okay.
I love you guys.
I love you too.
Tomorrow.
Oh, no, I'm going to be back on in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
You can't get rid of me that fast.
Okay.